finish work, you're tired, your brain's already been used for the day, and then you open the charts, and somehow that 1 or 2 hour window starts feeling heavier than it should. Because now it's not just a chart, it's the one part of the day where you're trying to feel like your life is moving forward. And that's the part people don't talk about enough. Trying to become a trader while working in 9 to 5 is hard. But not only because you have less time, it's hard because of how you actually feel when you sit down to trade after work. You're tired, you're exhausted, you feel behind, you might have even missed a clean move. You've seen people online trading full-time, posting profits, making it look like freedom is just one payout away. And then you sit down after work, and without realizing it, you start trading with pressure. The pressure to make the session count, pressure to find something because you finally have the time, pressure to prove that this whole journey is actually taking you somewhere. And that's where trading has to get dangerous, because you can become disciplined enough to show up, but still not have the right state to execute. So in this video, I'm not going to just give you a fake motivational speech about how your 9 to 5 is secretly easy. And I'm not just going to give you a perfect routine and pretend that that fixes everything. We're going to talk about why trading after work feels so heavy, why limited time makes you force trades, why trading can quietly become an escape from your current life, and how to build this properly without making every trade carry the pressure of your whole future. Because the truth is, your job might be making trading harder, but the real danger is when the frustration from your day follows you into the market. And that starts by understanding the state you're actually currently in when you sit down to trade, because most traders think their session starts when they open a chart. But if you're trading after work, your session started long before that. It started in the meetings, the deadlines, the commute, the messages you had to answer, the tasks still sitting somewhere in your mind even after you've closed your work laptop. And then you sit down to trade and you expect your mind to be completely clean. You expect yourself to analyze properly. You expect yourself to actually be patient. You expect to follow the plan like nothing has happened, but something has happened. You've already spent 8 or 9 hours making decisions, solving problems, dealing with people, and trying to stay professional. So when you open the chat at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 6 p.m., whenever, you're not just looking at price. You're looking at price through a tired mind. And that matters because trading is not just about seeing the setup. It's also asking, can I wait when I'm already tired? And can I stay objective when I feel like I've missed the best move of the day? Can I accept no trade after spending the whole day waiting for my chance to trade? Can I close the laptop calmly when the market gives me nothing? That's the real test. Because after work, even a normal trading decision can feel heavier than it should. A setup you would ignore on a fresh mind suddenly starts looking tempting, juicy. The trade you know is not clean starts feeling good enough. A missed move starts feeling personal, and a no trade day can feel like you made no progress at all. And guys, this is where a lot of traders judge themselves unfairly. I would know. They say, I'm just not disciplined, I'm lazy, I'm not serious enough. But sometimes the issue is not that you don't care. Sometimes the issue is that you're trying to do something that needs real focus when your energy is already low. It's not mean you cannot do it. It just means you need to stop pretending your mental state does not matter. Because there is a version of you that analyzes well on the weekend. There's a version of you that understands the strategy when you're calm. That version of you that can look at a chart with patience when nothing else is pulling on your mind. But the after-work version of you is different. That version may be tired. That version may be frustrated. That version may feel like trading is the only part of the day that actually belongs to you. And if you don't understand that state, you will blame your strategy for your mistakes that actually came from the state you were in. That is what I call after-work trading state. It's in the name. So you bring to the chart after the day has already taken something out of you. And if you do not recognize it, you will trade like you're fresh when really you're already carrying weight. So before you even ask, is this a good setup? You may need to ask yourself, what state am I in right now? Am I focused? Am I calm? Am I rushing because this is the only time I have? Am I trying to make the day feel productive? Am I trying to prove something to myself tonight? Because Sometimes the most dangerous thing about trading after work is not the market. It is sitting down with a tired mind, pretending you're neutral. And once you understand that, you start seeing the next problem clearly because when you're tired, your trading window is small. Patience starts feeling expensive. And that is where limited time makes you frustrated. And if you only have 1 hour after work to look at a chart, that hour does not feel normal. It starts feeling like your only chance, your one window, your one opportunity to make progress today. So when the market is not giving you a clean setup, you do not just feel patient, you feel blocked. And that is where the danger starts. Because the market does not care that you just finished work. It does not care that you only have 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It does not care that you missed the London session. It does not care that you were in meetings when the clean move happened. The market is not going to rearrange itself around your schedule. But emotionally, we can start trading like we expect it to. We sit down after work and think we are being disciplined because we showed up. Or underneath that, there's this quiet tingling, this high pressure. I've waited all day. I need to find something. I need this session to count. And once that pressure is there, you start waiting for your setup. You start negotiating with the chart. And a trade that is 60% clean starts feeling clean enough. A setup that is slightly late starts feeling acceptable. A move that you would normally just skip, you start finding reasons to take it. Not because the trade is improved, but because your patience got smaller. And it got smaller than your trading window. That is what I call forced opportunity bias. It is when your limited time makes you feel like the market needs to give you a trade. And once that happens, your standard quietly moves. Not loudly, not obviously, just slightly, little by little. Sometimes that slight movement is enough to damage your whole account over time. Because one forced trade does not always feel reckless. That is the dangerous part. It can feel logical in the moment. It can sound like, oof, it's close enough. The risk is controlled. I'm managing that. I can manage it. It's still my work. But if you're honest, you know there's a difference between a trade you plan and a trade you just justify because you did not want to end the session without doing anything. That difference matters, especially if you're trading prop firm challenges, because in a prop firm account, the danger is not just one bad trade. The danger is what one forced trade does to your next decision. You take a trade that was not really clean, it loses. Now you're tired, annoyed, and down on the day. And because you only had a small window to trade, you feel like the market took your one and only chance. So the second trade becomes emotional. Let me just get it back. Let me find one more setup. I don't want it to end like this today. That is how limited time turns into overtrading. Not because you plan to be reckless, but because you were trying to make a small trading window feel productive. And this is why trading after work requires a different level of honesty, because if you're working full time, your plan cannot rely on the market giving you something every time you sit down. Your edge has to include the ability to open the chart, see nothing, and still feel like you did your job. That is hard. Believe me, that is hard, because when you have limited time, no trade can feel like wasted time. But in trading, sometimes no trade is the work, because sometimes the discipline is not in the entry. Sometimes the discipline is just closing the laptop before you take your frustration into the market. So the goal is not, did I find a trade tonight? The goal is, did I actually protect my standards tonight? Because if your standards only exist when the market gives you something quickly, they are not standards at all. They're not standards yet. They're just preferences. Real standards are still there when you're tired, still there when you have waited all day. It's still there when the setup almost looks good. Still there when doing nothing feels uncomfortable. Because once you start forcing trades just because you finally have time, trading stops being a skill you're building and starts becoming the place where you try to make the day feel worth it. But forcing trades is not. Forcing trades is only the surface. The deeper question is why that trade felt so necessary in the first place. And this is where the 9-to-5 trader has to be really honest with themselves, because sometimes trading is not just trading anymore. It becomes the thing you hope will finally give you options, the thing you hope will change your income, the thing you hope will prove that all the late nights, all the chart times, all the failed challenges, and all the frustration actually meant something. And listen, there is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with wanting freedom. There's nothing wrong with wanting trading to become something serious in your life. A lot of us are not just learning this because we just enjoy staring at the charts or watching candles go up and down. We're learning this. We're learning it because we want our lives to change. We want to change the lives of our family. But that desire becomes dangerous when it starts sitting inside every single trade. Because now, one setup is not just one setup. It starts feeling like a step towards freedom. One win is not just one win. It feels like proof that you're finally becoming the person you want to be. Because trading does change us. It does shape us into a different person. And one loss is not just one loss. It feels like life pulling you back again. That is too much weight for one trade to carry. And this is what I call the escape pressure trap. The escape pressure trap is when your desires to escape your current life makes you rush the very skill that requires balance, requires patience. You want trading to give you the freedom, but because you want that freedom so badly, you start trading with urgency. You start trading, you start needing progress. You want the progress now. You start needing the account to move now. You start needing the payout to come to you now. You start needing that proof that you're not wasting your time. And slowly, without even realizing it, you stop trading the market in front of you. You start trading the life you're trying to get away from. That is why trading after work can feel so emotional, because you might open the chart at 7:45 p.m. or whenever you do get to it, but emotionally, you're not just looking for a trade. You're looking for relief. Relief from feeling stuck, relief from feeling behind, relief from the quiet thought that says, how long am I just going to keep living this life? And when trading becomes that place of relief, you become vulnerable because the market can now affect more than just your account. It can affect your mood, your confidence, your patience, your whole entire evening. One candle moves against you, and it does not just feel like price is moving. It feels like your dream is moving further away from you. And friends, this is where you have to be careful, because the market was never meant to carry your whole future. It's not built to rescue you from frustration. It's not there to prove that your effort was worthwhile. The market is just the market. And if you bring too much emotion into it, if you bring too much emotional need into it, it will punish the part that is desperate. This is why two traders can take the same loss and experience it completely differently. One trader takes the loss and says, that was one trade inside a long-term process. Another trader can just take the same loss and feel, well, this is never going to happen to me again. This is never going to happen for me. Same loss, different emotional weight, different internal story, different next decision. And that next decision is where the account gets damaged, because once a loss feels like proof that your life is not changing fast enough, you do not respond like a trader anymore. You respond like someone trying to get relief. You revenge trade, you increase risk, you take the next week setup, you tell yourself you're looking for confirmation, but really you're looking for a way to feel better. And that is a dangerous place to trade from, because your strategy may still be on the screen, your rules may still be written in your journal, your risk plan may still exist, but emotionally you're no longer trading from structure. You're trading from escape pressure. And the hard truth is, the more desperate you are for trading to work, the harder it becomes to trade well. Because good trading often feels boring, slow, repetitive, uneventful. Sometimes it means no trade. Sometimes it means small progress. Sometimes it means watching the market move without you. But escape pressure, it's slow progress. Escape pressure wants evidence now. It wants the funded payout now. It wants the story to change now. And that urgency can make you destroy the process. It can make you destroy the process you actually need to build. So if you're working in 9 to 5 and trying to become a trader, one of the most important questions is not only, is my strategy good? I believe you should ask, what emotional job am I asking trading to do for me? Am I asking trading to build my skill? Or am I asking trading to rescue my mood? Am I executing a plan? Or am I trying to escape how my life currently feels? Because once trading becomes an emotional place where you try to escape work, every decision becomes heavier. Every loss feels more personal. Every missed setup feels like time wasted. Every trade or every no trade day feels like failure. And every profitable trader online starts looking like a reminder that you're behind. Which brings us to the next problem, because once trading starts carrying that emotional weight, comparison becomes dangerous. Now, you're not just watching other traders, you're actually measuring yourself, you're measuring your whole journey against them. And this is one of the hardest parts of trying to become a trader while working full time. Because when you're at work, the market is still moving, people are still posting setups, people are still catching trades, they're still uploading their own profits, people are still talking about payouts, funded accounts, full-time trading, freedom, consistency, and you're seeing all of it between your meetings or on your lunch breaks or after work when the move's already happened. And if you're not careful, you start feeling like you're behind. Not because your progress is actually bad, or because your life does not look like the version of trading you keep seeing online. And here's the part you have to remember. You're not just comparing trading results, you're comparing circumstances. You're comparing your 1 or 2 hours after work to someone else's full day trading. You're comparing your tired evening mind to someone else's fresh morning session. You're comparing your schedule, your responsibilities, your family responsibilities, your experiences, and the pressure you're under to a highlight reel that may not even show the full truth. And when you do that, your own process starts looking slower than it really is. That is why comparison messes with your patience, because comparison does not just make you want better results, it makes your current stage feel unacceptable. It makes slow progress feel like a failure. It makes selectivity feel like you're missing out. It makes a no trade day feel like you're falling behind. It makes you look at someone else's chapter 10 and start hating your own chapter 2. And once that happens, you start trying to trade like someone whose life you are not actually living. You copy their routine, you copy the routine, but they do not work your hours. You copy their trade frequency, but they do not have your mental fatigue. You copy their risk appetite, but they may not have your account size, your prop firm rules, or your bills. You copy their confidence, but you do not see the years of losses, the mistakes, the screen time, and emotional damage that has built them to who they are. And this is where many traders get pulled out of their own lane. They do not lose patience because they're lazy. They lose patience because comparison makes their real life feel too slow. So instead of building a trading plan around their actual situation, they build pressure around an imaginary version of themselves, a version with more time, more energy, more freedom, more flexibility. And then they judge how they're actually trading against the version of themselves that does not exist yet. And that is not fair. And more importantly, it is not useful to you, because your hedge has to fit the life you actually have right now, not the life you hope trading will eventually give you. If you work full time right now, your trading plan has to respect that. Your risk has to respect that. How much you can realistically handle after work has to respect that, because if your system requires you to behave like a full-time trader while you're still living a full-time worker's life, you're going to feel like you're failing, even when the real problem is that your system does not fit for real life right now. And this is the part I think a lot of people miss. Trading maturity is not just about doing more charts, more trades, more pairs, sessions, more analysis. Sometimes maturity is doing less, but doing it with more control. One clean setup, one clear session, just one proper review, one honest journal entry, one day where you did not force a trade just because other people were posting wins. That counts. That is not wasted progress. That is discipline under constraint. So when you see someone online trading full time, do not immediately turn their lifestyle into your standard. Ask yourself, what part of this actually applies to my life? What part of this fits my trading window? What part of this fits my emotional capacity after work? And what part is just making me feel behind? Because comparison can be useful if it inspires you, but it becomes really dangerous when it makes you disrespect your own stage. And if you disrespect your own stage, you will keep trying and trying to skip the part of trading that actually builds you. The slow part, the boring part, the constrained part, the part where you learn to execute properly even when life is not ideal. And that is why the 9 to 5 stage is not just an obstacle, it's also a test, because it shows you whether you can build without rushing, whether you can keep your progress, you can keep your standard when your progress feels slow, whether you can stop treating someone else's trading life as proof that yours is failing. And once you start seeing it like that, the whole stage begins to change, because maybe your 9 to 5 is not only delaying you. Maybe if you just approach it properly, it can also train something in you that trading will need later. And I want to be careful with this, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend working full-time while trying to trade is easy. It's not. It can be draining. It really can be frustrating. It can make you feel like you're moving slower than everyone else. And some days you come home and you generally do not have the mental energy to analyze anything properly. So this is not one of those fake motivational points where we pretend the hard thing is secretly comfortable. It is hard, but hard does not automatically mean useless, because one of the strange things about trading while working a 9 to 5 is that it forces you to deal with something many traders avoid. You cannot trade everything. You cannot watch every single candle. You cannot take every single session. You cannot sit there all day waiting for the market to entertain you. You have constraints, and those constraints can either make you impatient or they can make you precise. Because if you only have a small window to trade, you have to know what you're looking for before you sit down. You cannot just open the chart tired and start improvising. You need a plan. You need a setup checklist. You need a clear session window. You need to know what counts as a trade and what does not. You need to decide before the emotion comes in, and that is discipline. Not the loud version of discipline people talk about online. Not waking up at 4 a.m. just to prove a point. Not forcing yourself to stay at the charts 4 hours when your brain is shattered, your brain is gone. Real discipline. The quiet version. Knowing your limits, protecting your standards, accepting no trades, reviewing honestly, not letting one tired evening undo an entire week of good behavior. And if you're building trading around a job, that kind of discipline matters, because you do not have unlimited attention to waste. You do not have unlimited emotional energy to burn. And if you're trading prop firm challenges, you do not have endless room to keep making emotional mistakes. The rules are still the rules. The drawdowns are still the drawdown. The risk still counts. And one emotional evening can damage days of patient work. So if you're a 9 to 5 trader, your job is not to trade like someone with unlimited time. Your job is to build a system that protects you inside the time you actually have. A system that says, this is when I trade, this is what a value setup looks like, this is when I stop, and this is what I do when I'm too tired to trust myself. That last question might be one of the most important things. What do you do when you're too tired to trust yourself? Because if your only answer is, I will just try to be disciplined, that is probably not enough. You need structure. You need structure that protects you before your emotion takes over. Maybe that means you only trade pre-planned setups. Maybe that means no trades after a certain time. Maybe that means you review charts but do not execute if your energy is low. Maybe that means your journal starts with one question: what state am I in? Not to make trading complicated, but to stop pretending that tiredness has no effect on execution. Because the goal is not to become the trader who can do everything. The goal is to become the trader who knows what to do, what not to do, and when to walk away, especially when life is already demanding. And if your 9 to 5 teaches you that, if it teaches you to respect your energy, protect your standards, stop forcing opportunities, and build around real constraints, then maybe this stage is doing more than slowing you down. Maybe it is building the version of you that trading will require later, but that only happens if you stop treating trading as the thing that has to rescue you quickly. Which brings us to the final shift. Because the mindset that breaks many 9 to 5 is, I need trading to save me from my current life. Or the mindset that builds a sustainable trader is completely different. It is not, I need this to work quickly. It is more like, I need to become the kind of person who can handle this properly. That is the mental shift. Because if you're working full time and trying to become a trader, you cannot let every session feel like it decides your future. You cannot let every trade decide whether you feel hopeful tonight. You cannot let every loss become proof that you're stuck. You just cannot let every missed move become another reason you resent your job. Because once you do that, trading becomes too emotional to execute cleanly. The market is already hard enough as it is. You do not need to add the weight of your whole life to every candle. You do not need every session to prove that trading is working. You need something quieter, a process you can repeat over and over, even when life feels slow. And for a 9 to 5 trader, that process has to be honest, not the perfect routine you copied from someone online, not the fantasy version where you wake up fresh, you trade perfectly, journal everything, you backtest for 2 hours, you go to the gym, you read a book, and you never get tired. Your real process, the one that fits your actual energy, your actual schedule, your actual responsibilities, your actual trading window, how much you can realistically handle after work. Because if your system only works for the perfect version of you, it is not a system yet. It's just a wish. A real system has to protect the tired version of you, the frustrated version of you, the version that missed the line on the move, the version that just finished a stressful day, the version that wants progress so badly that a mediocre setup starts looking attractive. That is the version your system needs to be built for. So before you trade after work, do not only check the market, check yourself. Not just the structure, not just the bias, not just entries. You need to ask yourself this. Am I focused enough to trade? Am I calm enough to wait? Am I trying to make this session count too badly? Am I looking for a setup or am I looking for relief? Because if the honest answer is I'm tired, frustrated, and desperate for progress, then maybe the most professional thing you can do that night is not trade. Maybe you review, you journal, maybe you mark your levels for tomorrow, maybe you study one setup, maybe you close the laptop and just protect your account from the version of you that wants to force something. That is not failure. That is trading maturity. Because maturity is not always taking action. Sometimes maturity is knowing which version of you, which version of yourself is sitting in front of the chart. So if you're trading after work, your goal cannot just be make money tonight. That goal is too emotionally charged, it's too loaded. A better goal is protect the trader and becoming. Protect your standards, your patience, your risk, protect your account, protect your ability to come back tomorrow with a clear mind. Because if you damage all of that just to feel productive for one evening, you're not moving closer to freedom, you're training pressure. And that is the part a lot of traders miss. How you trade while working a 9 to 5 is training what you do by default. If you train yourself to force trades when you're tired, you will carry that into bigger accounts. If you train yourself to revenge trade when you feel a little bit behind, you will carry that into funded accounts. If you train yourself to increase risk because progress feels slow, you will carry that into payouts. But the opposite is also true. If you train patience, you will carry that later. If you train selectivity now, you will carry that over as well. If you train honest journaling, you're going to carry self-awareness later. If you train yourself to walk away when you're not in the right state, you carry emotional control. That is why this stage matters. Not because it's easy, not because you should romanticize being tired after work, but because who you become while things are difficult often shows you who you'll be when things get easier. So no, your 9 to 5 does not make this journey easy. It can't make it slower. It can't make it heavier. It can't make it frustrating, but it does not have to make you reckless. It does not have to make you impatient. It does not have to make you treat the market like as an escape door. You can build differently. You can build slower. You can build cleaner. And you can build a plan that respects the life you actually have. And if you do that for just long enough, you are not just trying to become a trader, you're becoming someone who can handle trading. The goal is not to trade harder after work. The goal is to stop letting a hard day trade through you. And that training shows up in places most traders struggle with next: their rules. Because a lot of traders do not break their rules because they do not know them. They break their rules because pressure changes who they become in the moment. And that is why this matters. Because if you're trading while working full time, the problem is not only finding more time, it is learning how to trade without letting tiredness, frustration, comparison, or escape pressure make decisions for you. Sometimes the real work is not adding more hours. Sometimes the real work is becoming more honest about the state you're in when you sit down to trade. Are you focused? Are you calm? Are you following your plan? Or are you even trying, or are you just trying to make one evening feel like progress because the rest of the day drained you? And if that is something you're dealing with, you're not the only one. A lot of traders are trying to build this. We're trying to build this life around jobs, around our responsibilities, fatigue, bills, family, pressure, and a normal life that does not pause just because they want to become better traders. So if you're trading while working full time, just comment below. What is the hardest part for you right now? Is it finding time, staying patient, forcing trades, or not letting frustration from work affect how you trade? I genuinely want to know, because those are the real problems this channel is built around. Not fake trading freedom, not guru motivations, the real psychology of trying to become a better trader while life is still pulling on you. And if that is the kind of trading content you need, honest, calm, focused on the real psychology behind execution, then stay with the channel, because that is the direction we are building here.